Okay, trying this one again, because the last video I was making was about 2 minutes in when my phone got a notification and fell. I film all these on my phone, because sadly, I commented on the status of a female, and then another one of her female friends decided to start having a conversation with her on the status. So now I'm stuck with the repercussions of getting all of their updates. So let's hope that doesn't happen again during this video. Anyway, fourth attempt at making this stupid stand-up video. I will make a short version of what's going to go down. I'm doing stand-up later today, and since it's all stuff I've never used on stage before, I'd like to practice it on this video. I will pause during the jokes and give some background and some commentary while I'm trying to figure it all out. At the end, I'll ask for you guys' advice. If you guys have any jokes you thought were good or could be tweaked or weren't as good, I have stuff I can replace it with. And then I will hopefully, after this, make another video that is much more smooth and is the whole set together, which will be more of my onstage persona. Because in this video, I will not be as into it as I would be on stage for obvious reasons. So here we go. I'm going to start out my set with 3 shorter jokes because I only have 5 minutes, and the main parts of the jokes are much longer, like later on. So I'm going to start with 3 smaller things that I still think are pretty funny. Here we go. So I used to be on a swim team, and what happened was, before a big race, my swim coach said to me, "Get out there and swim like you never swam before." And I did, and then I drowned. And that goes right into the next joke. No transition, just bam. With, remember those old Superman shows and movies? There's always those 3 people, you know, look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's Superman. Why were those first 2 people so excited about seeing a bird and a plane? And so that goes, this section actually does have a transition because I say, and speaking of planes, I almost took a plane trip recently. And by almost, I mean almost. What happened was, the stewardess said to me, you can get on the plane now, and I did. But what happened was, I couldn't hold on well enough, and during the takeoff, I fell off of the plane. It's weird, she told me to get on the plane, no one else was on it. So those are the 3 quick jokes, and, okay, so for the next thing, it goes in there, like, I have 2 big things that I've never really had a good transition into. I don't really need it, you know, a stamp, you don't need a transition, but it sometimes helps. And so what I was thinking of doing was taking the obviously non-real life situation of the plane trip and transitioning into it, because I need to be in a situation where I'm watching TV in the morning instead of doing anything else. I'm just staying in bed watching TV. So I was going to have it be that I'm recovering from falling off the plane. So it would be something like, you know, I'm staying in bed all day anyway. So it leads into I'm watching cartoons, and on a day that you're not normally watching cartoons in the morning. So yeah, so I was watching cartoons while just staying in bed, and the problem was, though, that it was a fucking motorcycle driving by. Fuck you. And so I was watching cartoons all morning. The problem was that it was a Thursday morning, so you don't really get the really awesome Saturday morning cartoons. So my choices were kind of either Nick Jr. or one of those televangelist guys that's just talking about repenting and that depressing stuff that I don't even understand. So the lesser of 2 evils was Nick Jr. So the show that came on was Blue's Clues. And if you don't know Blue's Clues, basically it's like LSD in TV show form. It's about this guy that goes around his house and he talks to furniture, and the furniture talks back. And he's basically trying to find whatever it is his asshole dog hid that morning. You know, you might need a screwdriver, and the dog's like, yeah, I have it, but fuck you, follow my clues to get it. And you're like, really? Just give him the fucking screwdriver. So he's looking all over for shit, talking to the chair. Actually, the chair's the only thing that doesn't talk. So he's talking to, like, the drawers and shit. Like, I don't know. And there are 2 things in the show that concern me that can talk. The first thing is, there's a little plastic shovel that he uses to dig up sand, and its mouth is right where you dig with. So it just makes me think, you know, that's not really safe for him, because if you ever accidentally swallowed sand, there's no fun part of it. So imagine that being your entire existence. The second thing is the soap talks. And this isn't like hand soap. It's not soap at the sink. This is his bathtub soap. And it's a male soap. Could you imagine the god-awful stories this soap has to tell? But, and oddly enough, I do still take solace in the idea that luckily it's been the same bar of soap since the beginning of time. So, as gross as it is, it doesn't seem like Steve uses his soap much. Probably because of the awkward conversation they had after the first attempt to use the soap. Something that I seem to keep forgetting to use in that little Blue's Clues set is I want to comment on him jumping into books. And it's basically that during the whole LSD aspect, I talk about how he jumps into books, and squares walk up to him and say, hey, I'm a square. If I combine with a triangle, we make a house. And so that is part of the official joke. I just keep, it slips my mind. It's not a big deal if it slips my mind on stage, because it's just like a little tidbit. But either way. So anyway, so that leads into the next thing, which is like the last thing I say, which is, so the next show that came on after that was Dora the Explorer. If you don't know Dora the Explorer, basically that's like the LSD was not quite enough for you, and so you added on marijuana. So now, not only do all the inanimate objects speak, but they speak Spanish. I myself do not speak Spanish, so for me it's off to Google Translate to figure out how to open up the stupid gate with the Spanish word for open. Still not entirely sure what it is, because Google Translate sucks and everything came out kind of Korean. Anyway, there's a character in this show called Swiper, or named Swiper, whatever you'd like to refer to it. That's not actually part of the joke, I just misused that word, so ignore that part. This is all, most of it's just kind of off the top of my head, except for a few points. Anyway, so Swiper always comes up, and he tries to steal whatever the hell they have. Suppose they have a big bowl of grapes. He wants to steal those grapes, and they're like, no, you're not going to take these grapes. He's like, oh, man, okay. I'm like, screw that. Swiper's a fox. If I was Swiper, I'd be like, no, fuck you, I'm going to take all your grapes and your backpack. Okay, that raises an important point. The backpack. Okay. If you've never seen this show, this 5-year-old girl has a backpack that always has in it exactly what they need at that moment that they need it. They come up to a broken bridge, and she has exactly what they need to fix it. But along with the exact thing they need, she has everything that no one would ever need, ever, while walking through the woods. Because that's what they do. They just walk through the woods every day. So she opens up her backpack, they get to a broken bridge, you're like, we need a hammer and nails to fix the bridge. And she's like, oh, well, let's check the backpack. And you're like, oh, shit, hammer nails right there, along with a windowsill, 14 soccer jerseys, a yoga mat, a muffin, another backpack, a calendar, a rope, and a mop. And I'm just like, okay, did she pack her own backpack? Because I could imagine a 5-year-old packing a lot of weird-ass shit. But I feel like if her parents were just going to let her wander around the woods, they might check her backpack a little bit more. I mean, I'd probably be like, okay, I don't really see what the windowsill's for. You really don't need that. You can probably leave the mop here. Hammer and nails, probably not the safest, but you could probably take those just in case you come across any broken bridges. Like, what was she planning to do that day? And I don't even know. Okay, and, so anyway, so that's kind of like where the jokes themselves end. And I don't know if I'm going to just end it right there, because for the most part, I only get 5 minutes on stage. That'll most likely take me up to right about the 5-minute point, maybe a little bit past. I might have to cut it a little bit short. So I'm probably just going to end it with, and that's my time, good night. But I also feel like if I have the time, I'd like to be able to do something like a little more transition-y into me no longer being on stage. But I don't necessarily have to have that. So my request to you guys is either, you know, tell me what wasn't quite as good in the jokes, or what kind of could be refined. Again, this is a rough draft version. In a little bit, I'll post a much more condensed, official version. So I thank you very much for your time. And yes. Okay, last time I stopped the camera, so that was pretty funny, but sadly we don't get to do that.